Well, this is the story of the former Abercrombie Fitch CEO, Mike Jeffries, an associate of his partner, Matt Smith, and also a third man, Jim Jacobson, all arrested today as part of a criminal sex trafficking investigation by the FBI and federal prosecutors. Breon Peace, the attorney for the Eastern District of New York, said the defendants are accused of using power, influence, force and coercion to traffic young men. It involved violent and exploitative acts, he said. The defendants would fly selected young men to the defendants' homes or hotels around the world, including the UK, to engage in sex at sex events. They used fraud and coercion in the process, not telling the men of the events they would be attending. Breon Peace said 15 victims, he said, have been identified, but it also involved dozens, many dozens of men who he asked to come forward. And just the FBI also spoke. James E. Dennehy said, today's indictment highlights the abhorrent behaviour of these men. It is beyond disturbing, a prostitution business using fraud, force and coercion. It is criminal, preying on the hopes and dreams, he said, of victims to fulfil their own desires. And we should say that Jeffries and his partner, Mike Jeffries and Matt Smith, have previously denied any wrongdoing. So too has what the attorney described, the man described as his recruiter, Jim Jacobson. So that is the story. And Mike Jeffries is a man who transformed Abercrombie from a rather traditional outfitters in the United States into that very successful fashion brand, which so many people have heard of. Let's join our correspondent, Shamaan Freeman-Powell, who has been listening to all that. And, well, Shamaan, the attorney there, clearly setting out the case against these men.
That's right, and quite shocking detail that we heard there in that press conference, the joint press conference with the FBI and the New York Police Department, setting out the case that they believe they have against Mike Jeffries, Matthew Smith, Mike Jeffries' partner, and James Jacobson, who they say acted as a middleman. Now, it was a very detailed press conference with some shocking claims in there. The NYPD and the FBI saying that they're now investigating instances which include around 15 men believed to be included in this sexual trafficking. These claims relate to the years between 2008 and early 2015. As you said, they laid out claims of using a combination of force, fraud and coercion to subject these victims to assault. And it didn't just take place in the United States either. It was here in England, in France and in Italy. And they spoke, didn't they, about having a secret staff to operate these secret events. The fact that many of the victims claim that they didn't realise what was expected of them at these parties, and later often many of them were asked to sign non-disclosure agreements and that money was transferred. Some of the shocking claims, though, that we heard just now in that press conference was the fact that Viagra and muscle relaxers were claimed to have been used, according to the NYPD and the FBI. The fact that they say that they believe that some of the victims were injected, the men were injected with substances that would cause an erection, forcing them to engage in sexual acts which they potentially didn't want to be a part of. There was also talks there as well about hiring dozens of men and transporting them, spending millions of pounds to support this operation using power and influence. And before they ended the press conference, they wanted to stress that they want more victims to come forward. They've encouraged anyone else who believes that they have been a victim of these crimes to come forward. We must stress, though, that all three of these men have previously denied any wrongdoing. But as we've just heard from that press conference, Mike Jeffries and his partner Matthew Smith have been arrested, as well as James Jacobson, also named in that indictment.
Shamaan, thank you very much indeed.